So today I felt kind of dejected in a sense. I didn't know why. Um, well, considering the recent events, I would say I felt a little depression going on. I've been listening to some teachings and specifically teachings on healing. And a lot of those teachings were about physical healing, although what I was kind of after was more of a mental, mind, soul healing. And today I didn't know what actually to do and felt emotionally kind of not in the right place. So I went on a long walk, like 2 hours walk, and I was just listening to those stories of healing, or at least try to listen to those stories of healing. And after I came back, I noticed, I observed that even though I listened to those stories, and last time it helped, or while I was feeling okay, I was listening to them, so maybe that therefore I thought that they worked. But when I came back, I was kind of met with reality of things, like I don't know where I want to really go in life. I don't know what I want to do. I'm at this age where I hope that my life should have I wanted to my life to ended up differently. No kids, no wife, no home, no job at this moment, and I'm just like, how long will it last, Lord? And I'm rereading a Bible for the second time, and at the moment I'm at First Kings. Anyway, but I took a scooter, my mom's scooter, and wanted to go on a drive. Maybe wanted to go to get some ice cream or some chips. But then I was like, well, I'm 39, and what I'm doing on the scooter going for chips? Am I gonna be avoiding things all the time? Is that really the way to go? What does that really achieve? Haven't I been doing that, and haven't that not bring any results that resolve the issue and the situation and brought a long-term solution to the issues? And I was kind of in that place where I felt, on one hand, accustomed to the action, wanted to take that action. On the other hand, kind of having a foresight of what that action is going to bring, and it's not going to be fulfilling, because if it would be fulfilling, it would fulfill me the last time, and it didn't fulfill me the last time, so why would I think that's going to fulfill me this time? But then I couldn't see any other option what to do, so I kind of went on the ride. But after a short time, I kind of stopped, and there was kind of like a battle within, and because those teachings and healing was very much about asserting your faith and claiming your healing and claiming what you want in life. In that sense, that's how I kind of concluded it, in the sense that if you want to have healing in other aspects, then you get to command your healing and speak to the mountain. That was the kind of teaching about it. And I actually, the last time, managed to go into that place where I believed it to be true, and it kind of felt as if I believed it to be true for some time. But this time I kind of didn't reach that place, and I was not sure if I'm being honest with myself and I'm lying to myself. Never mind. And I kind of stopped on the scooter, and I was like, kind of what I'm doing, being a bit more conscious of myself or surroundings and the action and the situation, and kind of start don't know, being like dismayed in a sense, and it's like thinking in terms how many times I've been in this place already, emotional or mental place of not knowing what to do, not knowing where my life's is going, and what should I do about the things that happen, how should I bring it forth, should I bring it forth, and so on and so forth. What should I do about the new information, about coming to faith, about previous experiences, and so on and so forth, about dreams and hopes, and certain ideas from Bible that I kind of came across, and how do I reconcile, like, again, certain ideas from the Bible, and like not knowing what to do, and the obedience in the Bible, that, and not knowing which voice is which sometimes, which voice to abide, if the enemy can take the appearance of the spirit of life. It's like, then can I really recognize it? And I don't know, what does it mean? Maybe I'm tricked and I don't know. Maybe I'm not tricked and I don't know. I don't know. I like the experience, and just many things going through the mind about that, and sadness and grief, and why my life is like this, and asking this question so many times already and not having an answer, and what's life about. And I thought I went through that cycle already and got some answers, but then I'm not sure if that was the right answer, but maybe the answers, but then things change. Anyway, just all of this at once, and kind of feeling sad, dejected, grieved about myself, where I am, decisions about maybe a bit unfairness, or sense of unfairness, or perceived unfairness, about being isolated in my life for so long, and not being in life where I thought I would like to be, and not doing things I thought I would like to do in life and achieve, and not necessarily selfish, but like just, I don't know, having a community, being with people, I don't know, maybe attending some Bible college and doing the things I would like to do, and not particularly because I think they're gonna fulfill me, but because there would be part of the story of unfolding of their life, live good, but then what it means to live good life. And some of the things I'm saying were not verbalized or not really crossing my mind, but they were underneath there, and I was kind of behaving a little bit like, I don't know, to be honest, I went through this cycle of repeating it so many times that, I don't know, I'm trying to observe it, but am I making a progress? And it's like, why am I in this place where I don't want to be in this place? Does anyone want to be in that kind of a place? And why we even, going as far as why even being born, and observing some thoughts in my mind which are not too generous or kind, or and not too blessing like, and then thinking, am I thinking those thoughts? And it was like, if I had a choice, I wouldn't think that thought. And it was like, it just pops into my mind, and it's like, am I choosing that thought? And then went to another place because I just like wanted to take some action, because I already went through that kind of a thing so many times that I know that usually doesn't achieve anything. And it's like, I've been already asking questions, I already haven't been receiving the answers, and in a way I felt like I've been called to make disciples and share my testimony, because that's the best thing comes to mind when it comes to spirituality, and especially after coming from different kind of spirituality, it feels strange, and I don't have anyone to rub this wisdom and experience of from, and again and made mistakes in life and so on. And at the second place, I felt restless as well, and I didn't want to stay there, so I kind of started going back. It wasn't too far, like half a mile, something like that. And I heard like, and I get book 5, and part of me I'm like, what it means book 5? I mean, like, do I know what it means? I'm being quite, and again, wondering like, did I choose that response? Did I create that attitude to be like that? And it's like, and all those more existential questions about life, about Bible, about teaching, and so on. And like book 5, and what crossed my mind was maybe Deuteronomy, the 5th book of the Bible. But then it's like, it's not called book 5, and it's like, why the book 5? And why make it difficult? Like, why make it like this instead of just saying, be clear, and like being confused about, is it this or is it that? But then it's like, oh, it's part of the faith, and it's like kind of arguing or hustling with spirit, maybe just like why it has to be so hard. And especially with my kind of tendencies as I was growing old, being a bit more on the timid side and the introverted, and maybe that's something I was taught and how to be, not sure. And after a bit of being grumpy about it, it was like, because that's not just about, I guess, this, it's more about just my life situation and where it is. And it's like, I don't want to say too much, but it hasn't been easy, and it's like I'm trying to figure out why it has been so hard. And it's like asking questions, and then feeling like even asking questions sometimes is wrong, that I'm wrong for asking questions, because that might be seen as questioning, but no one taught me that might be seen as questioning, but it might feel like that. And it's like, okay, so I decided I'm gonna go, because I didn't see anything else what I could do. And I was actually taking kind of a break from reading the Bible. It's like, and a bit of part of being grumpy was like, oh, I'm already on 1 Kings, and I got to book 5, and it's like, okay. And I came back and I started reading, and actually the Deuteronomy at the beginning was kind of like Moses. I think it was summarizing, because as I was reading the Deuteronomy this time, I kind of noticed that Deuteronomy was kind of summary of the whole journey of Moses, in a sense, and of that covenant, and how they, instead of travel 11 days, they travel 40 years, because the people moaned and complained, and was like, so if you just not obeying God with a cheerful heart, that's already bad. And it's like, who can achieve that? And then no one teaches that, and all the other things. But in a sense I get it, but in a sense it's like, I don't know, I had this different metaphors for it. Like in school, if you don't do it, you get a bad grade, and obviously that determines what you're gonna move forward and how it's gonna be in your life. But even school, I don't know. Anyway, and it's like how God protected them, increased the population, and so on. And a reminder to be always fair, and so on, and don't be afraid, don't be discouraged. And then it came into rebellion, and it's like, I've been noticing how rebellion is really Like if God says something in your spirit and you're just not happy about it, or you're not sure, or even afraid that something was shocking to find out. Apparently, if you're afraid to fulfill what God wants you to fulfill, then God's gonna punish you as well. And it's like, together with this reconciliation between the New Testament and the Old Testament, some people it's completely different because it's grace, but I'm not so sure about it because the grace is emphasized, but there still is the law which you have to fulfill, and the grace is towards the law which you maybe not so great at fulfilling, but you still get to fulfill it. And it says that you rebel against command of the Lord your God and refuse to go in. And it's like it kind of felt personal at this time that God wanted me to do something, and I was afraid and wasn't sure, and it's like felt like being transported into other world, especially after being brought up in the world that I was brought up, in the way of thinking that I was being brought up, and suddenly this and because you complained in your tents and said the Lord must hate us, and it's like it reminded me that like a year ago now would be, which is just horrific in a sense. It was the year ago. It was like way at the end of my rope, thinking that like, why God hate me, and it's like and things like that, because it's like it's been, the situation was so rough for so long, and at 39 I was like, what am I what my life became, and it's like trying to understand, and it's like seeing people succeed and having lives that I would like to have, not because that would completely fulfill me, but because it would be part of the good life anyway. And that kind of rang true with my heart, like, and it's like thinking how am I different than those people who complain? And it's like you get said to them, even though they were chosen people, that they're not gonna see the promised land, so what chance do I have for a good life? Like, and then, well, if that's the case, what's the point of even going on? Like, surely in that situation, anyway, I don't want to go there, but yeah. And then it's like that even the Moses didn't get to the promised land. And then you confessed, we have sinned against the Lord, but the Lord taught, and we wanted to go to fight with them, but then the Lord, don't go because I'm not with you anymore. But they didn't go to fight anywhere, and they lost, and it's like, oh Lord, why haven't you been with us? And pleaded with God, but God didn't listen, and that kind of answered my kind of question why God is silent towards me in a sense. I don't know. That's how it felt. That's how it felt true in a sense in the moment. And for the Lord your God has watched your every step through the great wilderness during the 40 years the Lord your God has been with you, and you have lacked nothing. And now coming really close to 40 years, and it's like wondering, can I really say the same thing? Can this be said about my own life, that I haven't lacked anything? And it's like, and I was a bit unkind about when I was reading it, because it's like, it's weird because I don't want to even say it now, but it went through my mind, and I don't know if it was, or I was saying it, or maybe it was an attack of the enemy, and it's like, I don't know, I'm new to it, so how would I know? So, but then even though I didn't know, and no one told me, I was still affected by the laws that it governed it, even though I didn't know that that was the case. So like, And then the word came to my mind, edict. Edict, which is a formal, authoritative public command, a decree, a proclamation issued by a person or a body of power. And the example was given that when your mom gives a child an order to clean a room, it's an order. But when a king orders you something, that's a decree. So it has to do with the authority, and obviously the God being the highest authority. And Deuteronomy being a kind of summary of things that we should do and should not do, and how to behave, and how to be in life, in a sense. And you should love your God with all your heart, or your might, or your soul. Meaning not only that you would live righteously and do the right things and obey God, but also be cheerful about it and living that. That's a requirement. And I felt kind of bitter about so wasn't love supposed to be just open and free? And it's and God, and I heard things like, oh, God's not gonna force you to go to heaven because he loves you so much. And in my bitterness, I was like, but he loves me so much, but he, and then many things came to mind about and I don't know if it were mind things, because I haven't chosen to think them. So but I guess there was some sense in them, in the sense that in certain proper contexts I understood how they could be portrayed or asked, but maybe not in that situation, not in that tone, in a sense. Especially think like, if you evil people, evil parents, I think it was Jesus who said it, know how to give good gifts, how much more your Father in heaven knows. So if a child asks for a piece of bread, do you give him a stone? But then I always felt like, should I focus on that and disregard everything else? Because surely that's not the case in life. Because if someone doesn't have a partner, obviously they ask for a partner and they don't get it. If someone has a problem with a job, he asks for a solution on that job. Not always he gets it. And then maybe while reading through Bible, I can see God doesn't always asks the prayers, especially if you haven't been obeying him and living righteously. But then I think even a rebellious child, if the father is loving and influential, meaning rich and prosperous, just like David didn't discipline his children, a loving father would be kind even if the child would fail many times and wouldn't punish them that much. So then and how some people explain it, I don't quite get it fully. So, but yeah, it is what it is. And I wasn't really explained why the word edict popped into my mind, other than the general sense of Deuteronomy and obedience, I guess, which is more of a 0.5, the Ten Commandments. You must not have other gods before me, and you must not make yourself an idol. Which again, I read these things and I have more questions than answers. It's like, you shall not make yourself any idol of any kind, of any image of anything in heavens or on earth and in the sea. And then it's like, in heavens, does it mean in heaven as in sky, or is it heavens where God resides? But because if it meant in heavens as God resides, then we can't have even the images of Jesus, because that's an image of something that resides in heaven, or images of the sky, meaning the pictures of the sky or stars. And I don't know. And so on and so forth. And the second rereading of the Bible kind of helped me understand more of you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, meaning obey his commands and do as he told. Even though, in my mind at least, well, I don't know, I don't think I had a loving dad growing up, kind, loving, wise. So I'd imagine that I have imagination of how that would act, or how I'd wish I would act if I had money, influence, time, power, and ability, and so on. And I would probably be very gentle and kind. And then probably would want to be stern and strong as a good example. But what would be the point of me punishing my own child while I would observe that that child might not have a capability or possibility to exude or show certain traits? So, and if that would be the case, and I'm the evil parent in that case, then how much more loving would the God be? So it's things I don't understand, but maybe it's not my place to understand, to be honest. Because I sometimes feel that I'm even wrong by asking, which makes no sense to me, because that would be just obey. And anyway, that's about it, what I wanted to share today. So